Okay, finally. I thought Natlan's Act 4 was really good in an unexpected way because I didn't expect some of the storylines to be wrapped up pretty quick and then introduce another storyline pretty quickly. So I would say that from a storytelling perspective, I quite liked the act, like Act 3 and Act 4 overall. And then some of the gameplay elements were pretty slow and lame, but for the most part, the story was pretty good. So yeah, I want to talk about it. So basically, we start off picking up from Act 3 where we need to talk to Mavuika about Capitano and Ororon because we saw their memories with Seelie. And Mavuika finds out where Capitano is, so we pretty much have to go and stop their plan because what Ororon is trying to do with the source mechanism is pretty similar to what would happen if they were to use the Gnosis, which would pretty much sacrifice and make everyone's lives miserable in Natlan for the sake of beating the Abyss. So even though the end goal is fine, the means of doing it is not what they want. So yeah, basically we split up into teams, one where Khaenri'ah is distracting the Fatui with a frontal assault on his end, and then us, Mavuika, Zelonin, we go to confront Capitano and Ororon, who are close to using their source mechanism. I didn't expect that Ororon's character arc would be wrapped up pretty quickly because I thought we would have a scene or multiple scenes where pretty much all of the characters would try and talk to him and convince him that his life is important and that he should be living to find his reason. But we find that he gets his own character arc resolved pretty quickly, like in an instant basically, because as he tries to sacrifice himself, right, he finds that, wait, no, I actually want to live. Why am I doing this? I want to live my life and try to find a reason for living, not use the reason that other people have told me to do, to sacrifice myself. So there's this guy that tries to take over his body, and Capitano helps Ororon out by temporarily halting the guy's possession of Ororon because Capitano is not willing to sacrifice people, still worrying about others, even if it means that his plan goes to shambles, which is interesting. This entity addresses him as commander, so it means that this entity that's trying to take over Ororon's body is from Khaenri'ah, and is still upset that Capitano, as the commander, as a previous Khaenri'ah commander, is still trying to worry about others, which is very interesting. But, so anyways, Ororon fights against this and then reaches out for a light that Mavuika shows. So pretty much, Ororon realizes that he hasn't really done anything meaningful in his life and that this shouldn't be the way to go out. So basically, that allows him to gain his resolve to reach out for the light, the one that Mavuika provides. And so he decides to keep living, and this grants him his ancient name, becoming the 5th hero. So that was a really quick character arc resolution for Ororon. I was kind of surprised because I was like, wait, we're not going to spend like the entire act going over this? But yeah, luckily there's more to this act, which is really cool. So even though Ororon does decide to live, the fact that they still activated the source mechanism means that, well, we have a voice that goes through and we meet the Lord of the Night, Yohualtecuhtin. I'm not sure how to say the name exactly, but because I was using Japanese dub because a lot of the English dub wasn't involved due to the whole VA strike. But anyways, the name of this god, the Lord of the Night, is Yohualtecuhtin. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Maybe I'll just say Yoha for short. But basically, she tells us that she's still able to carry out this plan of using the source mechanism, but Mavuika argues against this, and Capitano reluctantly agrees to this. So the Lord of the Night, she also tells us that she used to be an angel, which is what Seelie's derived from. And this is why apparently in Natlan we don't really have any Seelies, because they pretty much all died out in Natlan as angels. And yeah, there's a lot of lore implications with this Lord of the Night because she knew one of the shades, right? One of the 4 shades of the Primoridial One, which is really interesting because I'm glad that we're connecting the Primordial One, the shades, into the present characters instead of being a one-off discussion with someone random, right? Or in a lore book randomly in Enkanomiya, right? It's actually playing into the world of Teyvat, into the characters, which is good. What I find really interesting about Capitano so far, and I think I'm actually going to try to make a separate video like analyzing his character so far because I find it super interesting. There are so many layers to his character. Maybe I'll call him Capitanonion because he has so many layers to his character. But basically he's saying, no, man, I used to be from Khaenri'ah. I saw the disaster that the Abyss showed, and I don't like all of this false hope that is being presented by Mavuika's plan. So let me just go ahead and go forward with my plan, try to just get rid of the Abyss. Which is interesting, right? Because his plan would pretty much put the lives of Natlan into jeopardy, and yet he's known for being someone that is willing to lose because he still worries about other people. So it's so interesting, right? Because his own personality is clashing with his plan of ignoring the people of Natlan. So I find that super interesting. But anyways, Capitano reluctantly agrees to Mavuika's plan, so the Fatui are formally introduced into an alliance with Natlan. Apparently, Capitano found out about the source mechanism through 3 scholars in Natlan that are named ABC, interestingly, and somehow Mavuika didn't know about them, so I wonder if these scholars will play a role in the future. It's very interesting that Capitano was able to find these scholars and Mavuika has no idea who they are. And here's where we get a lot of lore about Capitano, Commander. He knew who Dainsleif was. He had to retreat to Natlan after Khaenri'ah was overwhelmed by the Abyss. And so yeah, he was a commander there. He learned about the customs and the gnosis of Natlan from one of the masters in Natlan that had sheltered him and his crew. So that's why he has a resolve to protect Natlan, because he was given shelter after running away from Khaenri'ah due to the Abyss disaster. But although there's more to it that is going to be revealed in a future act, I would think. And Capitano reveals to us that because he's cursed, he still has immortality, but he still ages. So that's why people like Piero, right, from the Harbingers, Piero is also a survivor of Khaenri'ah, and so he looks older as well. So Capitano has a mask. And Paimon brings up a good point, because Dainsleif, even though he has the curse of immortality, he hasn't aged a bit at all. So there's something interesting there that we'll find out later, I suppose. But yeah, it's really cool how Capitano is personally involved in Natlan, because he's paying due to Natlan sheltering him. And I like his confidence too, because he says, hey, even though I have the curse of immortality, my flesh rots and my strength is not as strong as it used to be. So if he had fought Mavuika 500 years ago, he's very confident he would have won. So it just goes to show how powerful Khaenri'ah was. You not only have ruin machines originate from Khaenri'ah, you not only have scientists like Ryandotter and such who created Durin originating from Khaenri'ah, you also have people like Capitano, people like Dainsleif that were commanders that are just like literally Archon level, Archon plus level. So it really just highlights why Khaenri'ah was so strong and just a threat mainly. And that's probably why the Heavenly Principles were so afraid of Khaenri'ah, just because of how strong they were. You have captains, just everyday normal captains that are literally Archon plus level. Just really cool. The more information we find out about Khaenri'ah, just the more exciting it is. I also find that Capitano's devotion to the princess or the prince, depending on if your character's Ether or Lumine, to be very respectable, right? Because Capitano doesn't really want to hurt the Traveler, because the Traveler is the sibling of the previous princess of Khaenri'ah. And it's really cool that he wishes that he wants us to reunite, hopefully one day, right? So there's just a lot of respect from Capitano. Just really interesting character. And yeah, I think I'll try to make a video on him, but yeah, we'll see. Anyways, moving on. So Mavuika is very firm on her opinion that she will not use the Gnosis unless it's a last resort, right? She'll continue with her 6 heroes plan. By having the 6 heroes, she can use a power that Xbalanque, the first Pyro Archon, had gained from Ronova, who is one of the 4 shades of the Primoridial One, right? Ronova is the god of death. It has powers over death. And that's why there are themes about the Ode of Resurrection. That's why Natlan can have resurrection, because Xbalanque had borrowed this power from Ronova. Of course, the implication here that is later discovered by people like Seelie is that Mavuika will die because of using the power. Which is interesting. There are more themes of death that are being explored. For example, Seelie and Xilonen go back to visit Yohualtecuhtin. I'm so sorry that I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly. But yeah, they learn that, they learn about Mavuika's fate with death coming up, and then with crafting an ancient name, Xilonen would have to die as a result. Which is interesting, right? Because all of Natlan has been pretty much ready to die fighting the Abyss. So the fact that people are worried about Mavuika dying or Xilonen potentially dying, right? it's interesting because, well, aren't they already prepared to die if it means saving Natlan? And yeah, anyways, so the main conflict of this act is that because Ororon had a change of heart, then the Abyss has adapted to this and is making an even bigger frontal assault on all of Natlan, increasing their attacks and then also being able to summon very multiple pylons that summon so many Abyss creatures that pretty much overwhelms Natlan, and so everyone scatters about to try to fight and repel these forces. I kind of wish we got more involvement from Capitano, because we basically just see him block and attack for Xelonin, and that's kind of it, because I just kind of wanted to see him go all out here. Well, maybe not all out, but just like fight and destroy even more of the monsters. I will say, from a gameplay perspective, it was cool going around Natlan and fighting all of the different monsters. It's like a game mode that I always wanted in Teyvat, like in Mondstadt. Imagine just like a game mode where we could just defend against various monsters from entering Mondstadt, the city. That'd be really cool. And I hope that they do something like that in the future. But the main criticism that I had with this from a gameplay perspective is that the hot air balloon was so damn slow. Like, what are we doing? Getting a tour of Natlan while they're freaking fighting for their lives out here? Like, why was this balloon so slow? Why could we not just teleport to the various places? It was so cringe. They had you just like sit on the hot air balloon for 5 minutes, and if you somehow messed up like I did because I like fell off the hot air balloon pretty early on, I had to restart the entire process. So that was really frustrating, but anyways, that's gameplay wise. Like, it still did a good job of storytelling with showing that, wow, Natlan is really overwhelmed by the Abyss, and yeah, people are dying. There are stakes here. The stakes are very high. You had Chaska, and then you had Chaska's sister that unfortunately died as well. Quick, who died because she got overwhelmed by the abyssal energy. She got contaminated, and we weren't able to save her. So yeah, there are stakes that were good. But yeah, eventually we find that, okay, the sacred flame that Mavuika is powering right now has to be the key to this battle. And so we go back to the stadium and we gather the 6 heroes, where since they're all now assembled, then Mavuika can channel all of their powers to borrow the power from Xbalanque and use this power to support us, and we're able to pretty much overwhelm the Abyss in this case and repel them temporarily for now. So the rift that the Abyss summoned, Mavuika uses her power to destroy it, which is so strong that it's able to destroy some of the false sky that's in Teyvat. Right? It is so strong that it's able to do this. So which goes to show the power that Xbalanque had. It's able to, the fact that we're able to, for the first time, actually see the false sky being destroyed, which again has some very cool lore implications on its own as well. And a cool detail is that afterwards, if you go into the game, and let's say you go to the People of the Springs area, like at the very high point, you can still see this rupture still being present there. So the game is still showing us that, like, to the east of the volcano, it's still there in the sky, just faintly there. It's like, oh, it got destroyed, but has it been completely sewn up? Well, not really. There's still a small hint of it, which is a cool little detail. And yeah, thanks to the power of the 6 heroes and Mavuika, we're able to repel the Abyss, and that pretty much starts the conclusion of the act, where the final push against the Abyss will be going deep into the Abyss, into the Night Kingdom. And it looks like only Mavuika and the Traveler will be going there, because they should be able to withstand the lethal energy that's emitting from that area. It's an interesting note that Paimon is explicitly being written out of that story because, oh, the Abyss would just manipulate and use Paimon as bait or as a hostage or something. So I wonder if that's going to have any storytelling perspective, because usually Paimon's with us even though we're going to these, deep dark places. So yeah, we also get some lore about Mavuika, which I think is finally starting to hint at her character and personality, because up to now, I wouldn't say she's like the most interesting. In fact, I would say that Mavuika is probably the least interesting Archon so far to me, just because I don't have as much information about her as the others when they got introduced into their Archon quest. All I can really think of Mavuika right now is that, well, yeah, she's a strong and good leader, but there's like not many more layers to her. However, when she reflects on her past, when she reminisces about her past now, we're starting to see a little bit more, such as the fact that she wanted people to, she wanted to be trained to become the Pyro Archon. she has this potential dilemma where, because she is the Pyro Archon, she gets the memories of the past one. So it's like, well, who is Mavuika if you have all of the memories of people before you? Are you Mavuika, or are you just the culmination of everyone before you? So it's like, oh, can you really live your everyday life as the Pyro Archon? You know, being able to connect to people. I feel like that might be the direction that Mavuika is heading into, and I think that narratively speaking, it makes sense that Mavuika will die, and they could like resurrect her like as a newborn and maybe change her character design if they want or something. I just think that, well, we have this prophecy. Okay, not like Fontaine, but anyways, it's like, oh, because Mavuika used Xbalanque's power that he borrowed from Ronova, the god of death, Mavuika should die. Like, this is not a get out of jail free card. Like, you were able to repel the abyss thanks to this power, but the power has drawbacks, which is namely the fact that you're gonna die. So I think she should die. Like, there should be death in some way. Maybe she can rise back like a phoenix. I don't know. I just hope that we go through with the death and then have a good way of bringing her back. Maybe like as a new character. Maybe as like, not like the Pyro Archon. Maybe Capitano takes the seat of the next Pyro Archon. But like, you know, as a separate character. I don't know. But yeah, I just hope that we get more layers on her character, because there's potential. There's potential. And yeah, the last scene with Capitano, again, this adds yet another layer to his character, because I'm so excited to see that, you know, he's aware that Mavuika will die, and it's revealed that, holy shit, the ruler of death, Ronova, personally has a connection to Capitano and has apparently sent him on a long journey, whatever that means. Capitano still wants to fight for Natlan's future, but yet he has a separate final foe to face. And I can only think that this is, I would think that it's like Abyss related, but I'm not sure. It likely is Abyss related. It could be Heavenly Principles related, but it's like, well, why would Ronova send him to fight like a Heavenly Principles related entity? It should be the Abyss, and it's so curious. I'm very curious what this final foe for Capitano is going to be. It's so good. Like, the lore behind Capitano is just so good, and we don't even know anything, barely know anything about him. Jeez, make him playable. Make him playable, please. Yeah, basically, we're set up for Act 5. I don't know if there's going to be an Act 6, but yeah, we'll see how we repel the final parts of the Abyss from Natlan, and hopefully Natlan will stop being the nation of war. So yeah, anyways, really good. Act 3, Act 4, yeah, I was very excited. Yeah, I was very, very happy to play through them, and lots of cool lore implications. Very glad that we have actual characters that we know that are, you know, showing connections to the higher beings of Celestia, of the Primordial One, the shades of the Primordial One. Super good that the story is finally heading towards this direction. The False Sky being part of it as well. Acknowledging that the False Sky... Wait, what the heck? Why did the sky just break? I don't know, we'll see. Thank you for watching this video. Definitely gonna be excited for Act 5 whenever that comes out. I don't know. Maybe it might not come out during 5.2, hopefully. I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, thank you for watching. Alright, take care. See ya.